Excuse me, sir. What is your opinion on artificial intelligence? What up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Leslie Smith, and today I want to talk about 3 books that I have read recently that changed my perspective on artificial intelligence. A couple of months ago, if you had asked me what I thought about artificial intelligence or AI, I would have told you it scared the stuffing out of me. I'm one of those people that believes all of our technology is spying on us. Nothing is a secret. When I hear people talking about that one day the government is going to make us have these microchip implants so they can spy on us, I go, they don't need to. We already carry it around right here. It is never far from us. They get everything they need. Because how many times have you talked about something to somebody and then suddenly you start seeing ads for that on your phone? So there's something to that conspiracy theory. At any rate, when I first came in contact with AI, or my first memory of it, was when I was a little girl back in 1982-83 when the TV show Knight Rider premiered. David Hasselhoff played Michael Knight, a character that was a bit of a loner, of course very rich, but this character was on a crusade to protect the innocent, defend the powerless, and help the helpless. Now, if I had been older, a teenager perhaps, I would have been wrapped up in David Hasselhoff. As a little girl, I didn't care about David Hasselhoff. My favorite character was Kit. Kit was Michael's partner, so to speak. He was a computer that was housed in a 1982 Pontiac Firebird. He had this red little line that was a light that would flow back and forth when he would talk or communicate with others, which he did by using a voice synthesizer. Kit, as a good guy who fought crime, was my first exposure to AI, so there was no fear of it there. Where my fear of AI came from was later in life when movies such as The Matrix, I, Robot, The Terminator, Ultron from the Avengers, and even TV shows like Westworld. These delved into the darker, potentially dangerous, murderous side of AI. This AI wanted to take over the world. It made sense to me logically, and then the fear of AI began. This is also due to just the explosion of technology that I was experiencing growing up. Because when I was a child, getting exposed to AI through Kit, technology was no big deal. Phones had cords that hung on your wall in your house, and computers took up an entire room. By the time I was a teenager and these movies like Terminator and Matrix and started coming out, we had pagers. Then came along cell phones and bags, which then graduated to the little handheld Nokia bricks. And so with this came the mistrust of all this technology as well. And that translated into any of the books that I read, which always seemed to feature AI that wanted to take over the world. Now, my perspective has recently changed, so much so I want to read more books about artificial intelligence. Let me tell you about these 3 books and how it is that it came to change my perspective. The first book that I read that started this ball rolling in the different direction to where I grew to be excited to read about AI was when I read Nathan Johnson's The Chaos Principle. Now, this one takes place in a setting where the AI named Annie is in almost complete control. Everyone depends on her. They just stay in their little rooms. They can work if they want to. They plug up into what's called a stream bed, and they just live whatever life, go wherever they want to do while they're connected into Annie. So people have become very dependent, very lazy, very disconnected from reality. But then there are 5 murders that happen, and the last detective, Ansel Black, is on the case. He was born and grew up always knowing Annie. Annie basically raised him. When the child is born, they plug them into Annie. And Ansel read a lot of older literature, such as Dostoevsky, where characters found their truth through suffering. And so he's decided that's what he wants to do. So he's questioning things, he's investigating things. He does feel a little bit suspicious about Annie, but she's also the one constant in his life, his friend. This artificial intelligence, really, she's annotated intelligence. She's a step up from your average AI. But there's just an exchange that happens between these 2 at the end that had me in tears and had me viewing Annie differently. It really kind of humanized her, and it made me look at this story from her perspective. She thought she was creating a better world. She thought she was protecting the people, and it just planted a little bit of a thought perspective change in me regarding AI. And what helped continue this shift in my perspective on artificial intelligence is that I almost immediately followed this book up by reading Kuiper Station by Wilbur Seymour. This is the first book in the Kuiper series. I absolutely loved it. It does have a lot of really bad language into it. It doesn't continue through the series. It is a plot device. And I should also stop and mention, I'll put all of my written reviews down in the description box for each of these 3 books if you are interested in reading about them. There are more elements that are wonderful besides the AI, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just discussing the AI element to them and how it is I've come to think differently about AI. Now, this book features probably my favorite friendship that I have read this year so far. It's between Bob and Candy. Bob is the master technician on a decommissioned space station called Kuiper Station. When he was 16, Bob took the station's basic AI, reprogrammed it, made it self-aware, self-thinking, named her Candy. They are best friends, like best friend goals. Candy calls Bob on all of his shenanigans and he gives it right back, but they are absolutely each other's ride or die. And I cried at the end of this one too. Again, I can't tell you why. This book had so many great things about it, the characters being one of them, especially that of Bob and Candy, and their relationship to one another, especially following up reading The Chaos Principle that thawed me on AI perspective. These 2 really cemented the change for the better for me and when I'm thinking about AI. And so then I happened to follow Kuiper Station up with a book that I was reading for the SPSFC competition called Echoes of Another Earth. I absolutely love this book. Again, another one that made me cry. Now, this one features an AI named Roberta. Roberta is the AI of a ship that is owned by Dr. Chase in this book. Now, originally, this ship came with a basic AI that was called Robert. Dr. Chase did some changes in programming, which put permissions into the software for the new and improved Roberta to continue to update herself and build. While Roberta felt more AI than Candy did. Like, Candy felt almost like an actual person. Annie from The Chaos Principle was almost completely like emotionless, expressionless. Roberta was a combination of the 2. She was very much a computer in the way that she performed, but she did have a little bit of personality, a little bit of snark and sarcasm, some attempts at telling jokes. She had some really important moments in conversations with other characters of this book that were just very impactful. And by the time I got to the end of this book, I was in love with artificial intelligence. I have decided that is a trope that I now love and look forward to reading more of. And that's how easy it can be for your perspective to change, to find a trope that you used to find fearful. I would read about it, but I was scared of it. And then you read the right books from the right authors. It encourages you to view things from a different perspective, see it from the shoes of the other thing or character, and when you look at it differently, that's when you can grow as a reader or find more things that interest you. And so that's what's happened. I now have a new trope to add to my ever-growing list of tropes that I love to read about, and that excites me because I read all the time. So if a whole bunch of authors are out there writing about artificial technology in the sci-fi world, I'm going to be happier than a pig in a blanket because I'm going to be trying to read all of them. And in addition to loving the 3 AI characters in these 3 books that I mentioned, all 3 were new to me authors. All 3, I will be continuing reading more of their work, anything they put out with, because they did an amazing job writing these books. Like I said, each one had many different elements that I loved in addition to these characters. I hope one of them catches your fancy and you decide to check it out. Don't forget, I'll put the links to the written reviews down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a different way of me telling you about some books that I enjoyed. And that's going to do it for me today. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.